All right, hello and welcome to this Heart of America Athletic Conference featured interview. We're very excited to have members of the USA women's rugby team join us today. We have Kate Zackary. She's a women's soccer alum of Benedictine College. And we have Janie Kluempers. She's an athletic trainer at Park University, another fellow Heart member. Thanks so much for being here. How are you today?
Great. Thanks for having us.
Super excited to be here, especially with Kluempers.
Yes. Well, so you're in New Zealand. Kate, tell us where you are right now, and how excited are you to be there and get started here in a few days?
Yeah, so we're in Auckland, New Zealand now for the next few days. We'll be here ultimately for 6 weeks for the Rugby World Cup, 2021 being played in 2022. So if you look it up, that's might be why it looks a little weird. But we're here for the next 6 weeks, as I mentioned, chasing the trophy and hoping to be number one in the world after this. And yeah, just looking forward to a couple beautiful weeks in a new place.
Well, we wanted to get to know you both a little bit better. Kate, why don't you start off, kind of tell us about yourself, where you're from, and tell us a little bit about your time as an athlete at Benedictine.
Yeah, I grew up in Salina, Kansas. For most of my years, went to Salina South High School, played soccer all my life, and then had the opportunity to come to Benedictine College, was recruited by Lincoln there, who's still coaching. So went there on a scholarship to Benedictine in 2007, was the start of my collegiate career. Played all 4 years, saw the team make it to their first NAI National Championship tournament. It was kind of a weird year in my sophomore year. The first matches were actually played elsewhere. So we took a lovely bus ride to San Marcos, California to play. Lost that first year, but it was a huge milestone for the team to win the conference and make it to our first ever. As we all know, since then, Benedictine's been at the top and at the tournament, reoccurring every year. So super proud to be a part of that beginning. And a couple more seasons of great quality rugby with a lot of great players. I'm sorry, not rugby, soccer. What am I thinking? But just a super amazing team. Played with such great players who have gone on to have really wonderful careers, still in touch with them. I know a lot of them make it home for the alumni games. And I think most importantly, it's just been great to watch the growth of the team and the players that have been coming in and out and carrying on with their careers. So Lincoln's done a fantastic job. Loved every moment being there. It's something that I'll always carry with me.
Awesome. And Janie, you're a part of the athletic training staff there for USA Rugby. Tell us a little bit about yourself as well, where you're from and your journey to where you are now at Park University.
Yeah, I born and raised in Lenexa, Kansas, went to St. Thomas Aquinas High School, helped start the rugby team there. Unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of resources to start a women's team, but helped start the men's team at Aquinas. And was kind of started my career as like a bit more on the sidelines or the background of making sure that rugby is on the forefront of the Midwest sports. So then I moved from Aquinas to K-State, and that's where I started my athletic training schooling, got my bachelor's in athletic training at K-State. I also worked with the rugby team there as well as some varsity athletics at K-State. And then Park needed an athletic trainer, and I was excited to stay in Kansas City, close to family. And both my parents are Benedictine alumni, so I knew the Heart of America and the NAI schools are, something to be proud of and a good working environment. So took that job, and now I've been there for 6 years. Really gracious to them to allow me to chase my dream on the rugby side. Obviously, rugby's not right now in the NAIA, but it's something I've pursued kind of on my off time, and it's now gotten to the pinnacle of the Rugby World Cup, and Park has been gracious enough to allow me to chase this dream and still be able to come back home and join the Pirates when we're done.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Kate, talk to us about this, transition from the sport of soccer to rugby. What was your position on the soccer field? What is your position now? And just kind of talk us through how you were able to move from one sport to the other and how that came about.
Yeah, so I was throughout high school as a striker and goalkeeper kind of combination. It's just what the team needed at the time. But arriving at Benedictine was solely a striker. I think I played some spring games at goalkeeper when we were in desperate need, but it wasn't my forte anymore. So striker at the top, wanting to score some goals. Obviously, that's the most important part of the game. Just kidding. But yeah, so played all 4 years. Benedictine has a women's rugby team, the Saints. A lot of some of my best friends ended up being on that team. Some of my roommates went out for the sport. It was this unknown thing. I remember attending games and people being like, oh, they lost 3-2. And I was like, how do you lose when you have more points? Like, I didn't understand the concepts whatsoever. I knew people hit each other. I knew there was these mass piles of humans throughout the field. Love to watch it. For all my rugby fans out there, they also have great socials. So that is often a shoe-in for most people who aren't used to the rugby, but they love the social after. So anyways, made a lot of great friends, always wanted to kind of play, but being there for soccer just wasn't an option. So my senior year, though, in the spring when soccer season was over, went to a few practices, had a great spring with them. All of our games got canceled, so I didn't play a single game. Did a lot of practicing though, but just had a blast. It was a great way to end kind of my collegiate career as an athlete, or what I thought I was ending, The following fall, they invited me to play in their alumni game. Like, look, like, you've been a dedicated fan for 4 years. You trained all last spring, come back, play in our alumni game. So that was my first ever rugby match, to be completely honest, was the Benedictine Saints alumni game. Had a blast, got hit for the first time and was like, wow, I don't know if I really liked that much. Fast forward a couple years later, I interned with the NAI for a year, went back to Benedictine working as the webmaster, and looking just for something competitive to do. I have 3 older siblings. I played soccer, as I mentioned. Well, obviously that's why we're here. But I just didn't have anything competitive to do. So the women's team, once again, still going strong, looking for players. As an employee of the school, I could play with the team. So I was like, why not? Again, there's a couple of us playing. So started playing with the Benedictine Saints, just traveling around to different tournaments against other women's teams in Nebraska, K-State, a couple other locations, and just had a blast. Was playing for fun, met the right people, and kind of ended up in the USA system. So it was a bizarre start to a rugby career, but it all started at Benedictine, which is crazy. That just going out that one spring led to this.
Oh, it's amazing. Janie, tell us a little bit about, how did you get involved with USA Rugby? Your family has always been really involved in the sport of rugby. Kind of talk about both of that, your journey, but then also the involvement your family's had in the sport.
Yeah, I grew up watching my dad play. He was an Eagle all through my entire childhood. He played on the Kansas City Blues in KC. So every Saturday I watched him play rugby, understood the game from the sidelines. And then kind of once I got into the athletic training, I wanted to do high level rugby, and I didn't really know what that path would look like. I didn't know if I didn't know if that was an option. But with kind of the connections in the USA Rugby world, with my dad being both a player and a coach, he kind of asked for some favors to make an internship that didn't exist. So I filled up water and cleaned towels, picked up cones, like whatever I could do for the men's national team starting in 2012. And they were like, yeah, you can come back if you get yourself here. And it's done. I just wanted to see what high level rugby looked like from the medical side, because it just wasn't exposed to that. So I just shadowed, watched athletic trainers from the USA circuit. How do you make a training room out of a hotel room? How do you bring everything to different avenues and make sure that these high level athletes are taken care of, but in kind of a setting that's not normal. You don't really talk about how a team who has no home base, we don't have a training room, we don't have a school, we don't have that home base as USA Rugby. So how do you make that work and make sure that the athletes get what they need? And that's what I learned from that internship. And then once I graduated from K-State, I got certified and started kind of down on the bottom, athletic trainer for U15s, worked with Eagle Impact Rugby Academy, just trying to work my way up, showing that an athletic trainer who knows the game can be an effective person to have on staff, because I know how to tape, I know how to work the game better from a medical standpoint, rather than just kind of showing up and helping in any medical way possible. So kind of found my bread and butter in 15s rugby, whether it was men's or women's, and worked my way up from U15s all the way to be with the junior national team on the men's side, and then got my first call up to the women's national team this past summer. tried to make an impact, and now I've been selected for the World Cup. So it's been a journey. I've worked from the bottom, literally cleaning towels and folding and making sure waters were ready, which I still kind of do now, but but it's kind of more like I'm actually officially like an athletic trainer with the women's national team. So it's been a great journey.
Yeah, Kate, give us a little bit, behind the scenes look at the team. Tell us a little bit about the team, even a little bit about kind of your coaching staff, for those that maybe aren't too familiar with the squad.
Yeah, it's a great question. We'll start with the coaching staff. So we've got our head coach is actually from England. He's played a lot of rugby, represented his country, represented a lot of teams there. Super successful in his time. We've got one of our forwards coach, similarly played for Bath Rugby, for those who know a little bit about England rugby, fantastic athlete. And just, he's only recently joined us, but made a huge impact, it's a nice thing to have going into World Cup. It's just a little bit of fresh air. We also have three staff members who are actually previous Eagles. Two of which I've had the joy of playing with, one of which is actually the most capped Eagle ever, 51 caps, Jamie Burke. So we've got so much experience in the coaching staff, but the lovely part is, just like our country, they're super diverse. We've got people from England who've played this experience. We've got the women coaching staff members who've had this experience. And so I think that's one thing that makes us really unique from just a coaching alone perspective. The players, similarly, we've got tons of players who grew up playing everything under the sun, from basketball, track and field, soccer, volleyball, so on and so forth. So rugby's still growing. There's probably only, I think, 2 players who played rugby by the time they were 10. No one else had been exposed to it till they were in their 20s, at a university or college level. So I think that's one thing that's also very unique about the USA team. We're going up against England, for instance, where rugby was born. It's the place that's got a long tradition in playing rugby. New Zealand, similarly, is all about rugby. I think anyone here listening probably has heard All Blacks before. That's a name that everyone knows, whether you love rugby or not. You've heard of the All Blacks, you've heard of their players. So for us, again, that exposure is so late in life, but that's where everyone's come from. They've had wonderful experiences playing collegiate and university rugby at the NAI level, at the NCAA level. They've had that competitive experience, and they've taken that now and transitioned into the players they are now, representing their countries for rugby here in New Zealand. So as I mentioned, the background is so diverse, and they come from New York, they come from Portland, Florida, California, the Midwest. Honestly, they come from absolutely everywhere. So there's no one place. I think everyone can get involved anywhere they want in the country nowadays, which is a wonderful thing to see. And the growth too at the university level is growing more and more because of what we're producing now.
Very good. Are you the only Kansan? Are you the only member of the team from Kansas?
Actually, yeah. Do you think I am? Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I think I might be the only one. I'm not the only Midwesterner. We've got also a few folks, who claim they're from the Midwest, but as we all know, like some states like Ohio, are they really Midwest? No, not really. But,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All 3 of us are Kansans, so
Beautiful.
Janie, tell us about the experience for you. What has this been like? And kind of compare it to some other events maybe you've covered in your career.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had anything this big. This is definitely the mountain peak of rugby. Everything, anyone in the sport ever dreams of. You just hear the word World Cup, and it's like, oh, this is big time. Yeah. But the experience has been huge. It starts way before you even get on the ground in New Zealand, looking at what do we need medical wise, making sure everyone's up to date on all of like concussion tests and passports and medicine. Do we have enough to get over there? Because there's so many things that are different from US to New Zealand of like, what can we carry over the border, what we can't. So there's a lot of like prep work. And then once we have everything packed and ready to go, all the players are taken care of, then it's getting everything over the border through customs, and then you just hit the ground running, making sure everyone jet lag wise is recovered. That's like a 14-hour flight, so making sure everyone has the resources they need to get their body ready for training. And then every day it's a new schedule of taping, making sure everything's ready for practice, go through training, cover practice, recovery time, and then just being a resource for what these athletes need to make sure they're ready for the next day and then the next task. So it's been amazing. I've basically just been working off caffeine and excitement to be here. A lot of caffeine, but it's fun, it's exciting, and it's never, it's a nonstop adventure. So we got one day off so far that we got to explore New Zealand, which was awesome. And then you come back and you put on the colors and you're ready to work.
Yeah, I think just to chime in and really just a big thank you, because the medical staff work nonstop. Like, we have an off day. She says we have an off day, but like her off day started hours after my off day, because once again, they're cleaning up the med room, they're looking after players and stuff. So that it's crazy the amount of hours they put in that I think goes unrepresentative. So obviously we're super thankful because they make us perform on a Saturday. They're definitely the huge puzzle piece.
Appreciate it.
And I wanted to add to that too, this is Heart Athletic Trainers Appreciation Week in our conference. And so we're very appreciative of, what all of our trainers do. We have over 7,000 student athletes in our conference. We have 14 universities. So, and there's just a handful of trainers on each campus. So we're very appreciative of all you do, Janie, and all the trainers out there. So thank you.
Thank you.
And athletes, learn your trainers' coffee orders and snacks. If you want them best fueled, biggest piece of advice is learn
Coffee.
what they love and treat them well.
Yeah, the park athletes know what I want from Starbucks, and they surprise me all the time, and it just makes my day.
Good. Yeah. Well, just a couple more questions here. I know you both are busy and got a lot of prep work ahead of you. Kate, describe the kind of atmosphere you expect during the matches of this World Cup, and tell us a little bit about the World Cup as a whole for those maybe that aren't familiar.
Yeah, so a little bit of just the framework of what the World Cup looks like. So to even get here, we had to qualify, which we qualified by placing 4th at the last World Cup in 2017. So, there's no guarantees on getting here. A lot of it starts there. So how you do in your previous rankings, and then there's a few tournaments after that based on regions and things like that to qualify. So we've actually been qualified because of the hard work done in 2017, which allows us to best prepare. Getting here then, of course, is a different story. There's a lot of prep work, a lot of test matches that take place. A test match for us is another international campaign against someone. So recently we just played Scotland and England just to get the rust off and be best prepared showing up here. Now that we're here, we'll play 3 pool play games. There's 12 teams in total. So 3 pools of 4, you play everyone once in your pool. The top 2 teams from each pool will carry on to quarterfinals, as well as 2 wild cards. So 2 third place teams who do the best will carry on to make your pool of 8. If you don't make quarterfinals, your adventure here at World Cup is done, sadly. So there will be 4 teams who don't carry on and will be sent home with pretty much immediate nature, it's a scary thought to have. So eyes all set on quarterfinals. Then winning out of quarterfinals, you'll then carry on to semis. The obviously 4 winners from those quarterfinal matches will carry on. Again, if you don't win your quarterfinal, your adventure is done and you will be sent home at that point. So basically you could play at minimum 3 games or 4 games, at maximum 6 games. Because once you make it out of there, the top 4 teams then continue to play a semifinal match as well as a first, second, third, fourth. So that's kind of what that looks like for the next 6 weeks as well. So it's a 6-week-long campaign starting October 8th, running all the way through November 12th. The buzz is going to be absolutely amazing. Like I mentioned earlier, New Zealand's a huge rugby country. I think at times it might appear intimidating because here are some folks who didn't grow up traditionally with it. But that being said, we're absolutely here to shock the world and we've come to play. I back the team 100%. We've got some great athletes as well as some really great rugby players who have given up a lot to go overseas and play rugby these last 2 years. So pretty much everything's on the line and you'll see everyone playing that way as well.
And last question for you, Kate. So your first match is against Italy on October 8th, 7:45 p.m. our time, live on Peacock, which is a big deal. Is there anything else you want to say to people back home, to fans of USA Rugby, before that first game?
I think number one, I just want to also thank everyone who's been a part of my career to get here. And thank you for the ongoing support. I've always been constantly receiving messages from previous teammates and members at NAI and at Benedictine and things like that. So please keep up that support. I know I really appreciate it. For those who maybe don't know us, they don't know rugby, but they're listening in, I dare you to watch the game. I challenge you to follow along, whether it's on Peacock, whether it's our social media channels, just to even see the score lines and the pictures. You'll fall in love with the new sport, guaranteed. So just give us a follow. Watch even a little bit of the rugby. You won't understand it, but you'll really enjoy it and feel passion for the USA team because we're going to represent you well.
Yeah, Kate's done a really good job of making sure that people know about the games now, but what the team is doing here is laying the foundation for when the US hosts the World Cup in 31 and 33. I think Kansas City can be a spot where we can host a game where we've already established ourselves as the soccer capital of the world. And honestly, I think we're a sleeping giant when it comes to rugby as well. So Kansas City, Arrowhead, Sporting KC, wherever it is, we can host a match, but that starts with fans. So if we can watch and support us right now, that can continue to grow. That in 10 years, it's a no-brainer that US is going to absolutely shock the world, and Kansas City can be a part of that story when we host.
And to have games on Peacock on that platform, is a big deal. It's a good start.
Yeah.
Janie, last question for you. What does what is this sport and how much pride does it give you to serve in this role?
It's hard to describe, actually. It's always been my dream. I've watched World Cup since I was little, seeing people represent their country, seeing my father represent his country and given up so much, only talking to him on the phone a couple times a year when he was away. And I didn't have the resources or the opportunities to play, but to be able to still be a part of this game is huge. And then to put on these colors and put on the crest on your chest and represent your country, represent NAIA, Park University, our families who have helped us get here, especially on foreign soil, it's undescribable. I've never listened to the national anthem the way that I do when I wear these colors, especially when you're representing a lot more than just yourself. We carry everyone who's brought us here, on our shoulders when we go out there. I don't wear the jersey. I get to wear this really cool like zip up and my medical gear, and I'm crying because I'm just so proud. But to see these athletes and what they've given up to be here, that's what makes me the most proud, is making sure that they're taken care of and that they know how much we respect them and everything they've given to represent America in the biggest stage. So to say pride is kind of an undergrade. I think it's one of my biggest goals and my biggest dreams, and so to be here is just absolutely remarkable.
She also showed up with the most USA memorabilia as well. She made us center plates to have at our meal out of a paper plate and paper cups of red, white, and blue.
Yeah, the Hobby Lobby in Parkville knows me well.
There you go.
I got so much.
I don't doubt it. Well, that's great. Well, this is great stuff. Thank you both so much. We'll be rooting you on. The Heart of America Athletic Conference is, very proud of you, and I know everyone else is here in the Kansas City area. So we thank you for your time and best of luck as you get going on October 8th. So
Thank you so much. Take
Thank
care,
you.
everyone.